Put it on, girl. Let me see it. Put it on, girl. Let me see it.
We're going to just dive right in. Listen, this girl, on top of being drop dead gorgeous, she's Karma's chief correspondent and the woman who has been sitting in the courtroom of the Diddy trial since day one. In fact, she's still at the courthouse now, left the courthouse to go outside to get with us, and we'll go back in. Please welcome Tisa Tells back to the show.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's so good to be back.
You are serving courtroom Barbie like in the most professional way.
Oh, thank you so guys. You guys are hyping me up, but it's a struggle getting up and getting out at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, but we're doing it. So
is it like a first come, first serve as far as getting
it is 100% first come, first serve, and there is drama in the line. It is like a reality TV show. You know how it is. Like, you guys are used to it, but in YouTube, I don't have any coworkers. My coworkers are like, my drama's on my phone. So it's like just getting into all the drama that's going on. Somebody's going to get stabbed one day in those lines, but we'll see. We'll see.
I saw you outside when you saw Kanye walking up and you're like, oh my God, and y'all had a moment. I seen going live, and it's been really exciting. Like, I feel like the coverage that you're doing, Armand and a few others, is way better than the mainstream media. It really is.
Yeah, well, Armand is the OG game in media coverage. He is really setting the bar. But it's just been so exciting every day being in court, seeing what's going on. And it's nice to have those coworkers. But Armand will tell you about the line. It's like there's something going on in the line. People swinging chairs around. And the thing is, none of those people are in court. They're just, I don't know. It just is what it is.
So let me ask you, because you've been present for the trial since day one.
Yeah.
So is that like, what's your routine like, just kind of getting organized to do that?
Okay, so I wake up at about 4 in the morning. I ask, why didn't I make better decisions in my life? I think about, what? I'm just not going to go in. I don't feel right. And then, that work ethic kicks in around 4:30, and it's like, get yourself up. So I run, you try to get dressed. The good thing is, once you get there, you're standing in line, but there is an energy because everybody's there. It's almost like waiting in line for tickets. There are line holders. There are people that have been there for a while, and there's people just causing drama. And you know how it is whenever there's like a lot of people involved, just da-da-da-da-da-da. However, for the most part, everybody's really excited. We wait. The press gets to go in first, then we go in. So we go from bullpen to bullpen, and everybody's always nervous. Like, can we get in? Can we get in? Can we in? Once we get in the courtroom, there is zero talking, zero eating, zero snacking, and you just have to pay attention and do your best to make sure, especially me, my face shows everything, not to show any reactions that could taint the jury or whatnot. But it's so interesting seeing everybody there, especially seeing like Diddy, I think the stunt queen ethics that he's trying to do, seeing the judge not fall for it, and also seeing the jury's reactions to the freak off tapes. It's been a lot.
On a level of 1 to 10, how disgusting are they? Are they disgusting?
So listen, they have not showed us the freak off tapes by accident. I think 2 and 3 times we heard the audio. Okay. The audio is straight up bum chicka bum bum, the murmuring, the this, to that, like just like, and at one point there was one time where we heard Jane. It sounded like she was screaming in pain or ecstasy. I don't know. I wasn't watching it. However, it was so loud that you could hear the echo of it over the headphones. However, I will say from the reaction of the jury, they are not impressed. They look like they are disgusted. There's some of them that as soon as they can, the exact second, they take the headphones off and put them down. They look away, their brows are furrowed. They look disgusted by what they are seeing. Oddly enough, Diddy, every time it's time to put the headphones on, he is the first one to be like, where's my headphones? Putting them on. Sometimes he leans over to get a better view because they only have it showing on one screen in the courtroom because they don't want the general public to see it. So he's leaned in, he's sitting back. Sometimes he looks like he's almost proud. But when I say he is enjoying watching those freak off tapes, and there was even one day where he said they need to look at the evidence over again. And at this point, I think the jury have been shown 23 minutes of a freak off tape, but here and there. But 23 minutes total. And he asked the judge, could they stay later in the courthouse so that he could view the tapes in the closed room? They call it the roving room. And the judge was like, Sure, I guess, because it's his constitutional right. But the optics, I do have to say, he's not asking for this while the jury's here. The jury's left the room. So this is all like, not sidebar,
For
but
his
it's stuff.
own personal satisfaction.
Listen, here's the thing. If he had asked in front of the jury, that would have maybe tainted the jury. He's asking this once the jury has been dismissed. He says he needs it because he really needs to get, they need to look at the evidence more. But I was like, Nick, no, you were in the tape. What are you talking about? What evidence do you need? Again, it's really weird the way he's acting with those tapes. Really weird.
He's been locked up for a minute, so this might be the chef's kiss that he's been looking for. His own personal pornography.
You know what? Hearing all these things, like we've all like had relationships where like it's been like extremely powerful sexual chemistry, and you might say, "Oh, I'm a freak." I will never ever say that I'm a freak ever again, because the level of like how did he make all these hits all these years with this level of sex drive? Like, when did he have time for music?
It's so funny. I remember I interviewed Little Rod, right? And one of the things that really grinded his gears about Diddy was the fact that he was like, everybody thinks he's this musical genius. He's not. He doesn't know how to write music, read music, and he just gets talented people to work themselves for the bone and then takes all the credit. And I'm not a music person, so when he said that, I really didn't understand until I talked to a lot of musicians. I think that might be what he's doing with his empire too, because Claudia, to your point, I said, what does this fool have time to work for anything? And it made me think his greatest thing was identifying people that had talent. They had a light. Everyone, from the women to his assistants, everybody had something like a spark. But then he also found people that were broken somehow, that had some type of trauma, either gaping or it was hidden. But he had that trauma. He knew how to get in there, rewire their brains so that being a part of the family meant everything, and getting his approval meant even more. Again, that is what he was talented at really doing.
Right. He's the connector, but he's also the puppet master, but he's also the predator.
Exactly.
You mentioned the jury before, and obviously now the fate of his guilt or innocence is in the jury's hands. What are we expecting now at this stage of the game?
Okay, I got to be honest with you. I am expecting him to be guilty. If he's not, you will see me walk straight from the courtroom, get in an Uber, and get on a plane and just be in the air. Like, you guys can throw my stuff in the thing. A lot of people have been joking that if Diddy is found not guilty, he is going to be out for vengeance. He's highly vindictive. But I got to tell you, I don't know how it's coming across in the tweets, but I've been there in the courtroom every day. And the feds have been doing an amazing job laying down. Again, like I keep trying to remind people, everybody thinks that the sex trafficking is like Taken, where there's 100 women chained and they're bloodied and blue. That's not the face of, I don't know if I can say, of sex trafficking. That's not the face of that. It literally is that, even though it's unsexy, even though it's one corporate spreadsheet of accounting after the other, even though it's one boring air receipt and one boring summary chart, that is the RICO and that is the sex trafficking. The government has proven their case on charges that for some reason a lot of people seem to think, oh, that's not really that illegal. It is 100% illegal. The moving the rugs, to moving the entertainers across state lines and across foreign lines. There's so much that he did that was illegal that the government has got him in at least 3 airtight charges that, by the way, even on the low end, carry about 10 years on the very low end, but they are consecutive, which means that he could be easily looking at 20, 30 years. And that's before they even start putting the heavy stuff down. So it's not looking good for him. And it's going to be interesting to see the way social media reacts. Again, I'm not Nostradamus. I could be dead off. But just for the legal professionals I talked to, and just my own personal opinion, I think they have him. And I think he is going to be getting time. Now, will it be life? I don't know. But there is going to be time there.
I like about what you do is like I love different commentators for different things. Like, again, I mentioned Armand earlier, extremely entertaining, a fantastic storyteller. And I'm like, wow. Yeah. And what I like about your coverage is you seem to be almost like a paralegal or a lawyer, because you provide context and what the law actually is. No, we need both. We need both things. And I appreciate that about you. Now, today we found out that the state charges were dropped, and people were like, "Oh, he's walking." And there's reports that he's planning a 4th of July. The family's planning a 4th of July party in Miami. All these things are getting out. What do you think? Do you think that was a major win for Diddy with the state? Because now he can actually get pardoned by the president if he wanted. If Trump wanted.
Listen, you bring up a lot of good points, and listen, I'm not going to lie. It was a win for Diddy. Now, does it mean I believe in looking at things? And you guys know I can't stand an abuser, a narcissist, anyone with DV or SA. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. But I can at least accept reality. It's almost like when you're watching a sports game, right? If the opposition scores, you're not going to sit there and be like, that didn't happen. No, let's acknowledge it. They got to win. I'm sure right now they are doing jazz hands and doing praise dances in the back. They got to win. Diddy came into that court just arms are swinging. He looked like 10 bricks had been lifted off his shoulders. But that said, just because they got these wins in with the state charges, okay, we're waiting to see the final verdict instructions because that's a little bit interesting right there. It's a little unclear whether it's just the attempted, right? Or whether it's all kidnapping, all arson. If it's attempted, those are lesser charges. And they have a point. It could confuse the jury. However, it still looks a little bit sloppy and unprofessional that at this state of the game, Southern District of New York are removing any charges off of the docket. You know, it's not a good look. So that's why I say this isn't a win for our team, right? It's not a win, but okay. So the other team scored a few. You should expect that in court. However, when it comes to the overarching RICO, when it comes to the overarching trafficking, and when it comes to the overarching transporting drugs, escorts, entertainers, transporting so many things across state lines for a commercial SMEX act, they actually really do have them. It's unclear, and that's what we're doing right now. They're going through the final jury instructions or verdict instructions. That's going to let us know whether the bribery is sticking, whether they're going to take full arson, which raises their level that they have to prove to the jury, but it simplifies it. So it's easier for the jury to say yes, okay? So I get that people are trying to spin this as like, oh, the government's playing 4D chess and Diddy fight. No. Listen, the government, I think when they listened to Diddy's Rule 29 motion yesterday, I think they listened and they're like, oh shit, okay, you got a few points. Hold on, let's go ahead and rewrite it. I think that they made such good points that they were like, let's shore up. Is it sloppy at this late of the game? Yes, but you know what? They're in battle, we're not. It's easy for me to be like the Monday morning quarterback when they are making things as quick as possible. I will say the last thing that I think this was actually Mark Agnifilio's goal when he rushed to court instead of letting the trial play out. It made the government speed up their investigation, short circuit their investigation, and it made them move under a time clock that I think that if they had a little more time to just sit with everything and see how they feel, I don't think they even would have brought up the attempted that they now are dropping, you know?
That's a great point because as we know, we all have the right to a speedy trial, but a lot of that onus and responsibility is on the person who is up for trial.
Yes.
So that's the reason why a lot of times like normal people will kind of like delay going to trial because it's also an opportunity to get your affairs in order because you don't know what's going to happen, what the verdict's going to be. I want to touch on the arson because we were under the impression that the arson charges were dropped, but you're delineating the difference between what's actually happening with the arson. Can you kind of like make that?
Okay, so let me be clear. Right now, they are still in court hashing it out. It's actually, even for the legal people inside, a lot of people are like, what is going on? Whatever is on the verdict sheet is what's going to be. And they are objecting and haggling over everything. So when you come to the arson charge, they asked for the attempted arson to be dropped. However, the arson actually, the wind is fighting with me. The arson is actually, they're saying that they might have also removed the whole arson charge because at the end of the day, nobody really saw him do it. He told everybody he was going to do it. But if anybody wants to leave, because you have to have beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was him. And there's a lot of wiggle room in there. So we're waiting to see if the kidnapping, if the arson, and if the aiding and abetting SMEX trafficking, the actual charges, not the lower attempted, but the actual, if they're actually going to stay in. And today is going to tell us that. I do also want to say, just in case I depressed everyone, right? one thing the defense is mad about that I think the prosecution got by accident is they got to have their cake and eat it too. See, even though, let's just say they do throw out the kidnapping, they do throw out the arson, they do throw out all that stuff, okay? There, you cannot unring the bell. The victims still stood there and testified. So what they basically gave, because there's no charge, is character evidence. And usually that's completely excluded in court, okay? Objection, you can't do that, but you want to get it in there because you want people to know what a POS they are, right? But by getting that all in, they had a lot of character evidence. So now, even though it's not, do you think Diddy tried to blow up someone's car? They heard it, they made up their own minds. And when they're looking at, is this guy Rico? Does it rise to that level? They're thinking in back of the head, well, this mofo like tried to blow up a car. He was having girls in the thing. So it's something that the defense could wish that they could turn back time, but it's impossible to unring the bell. So that's one good thing that came out. The charges are gone, but the testimony is not forgotten.
I saw that on your page that you were talking about that, and you do make some great points. Like if they didn't, the fact that they maybe overcharged and got all that evidence and testimony in and then took it out. Yes. The jurors can't forget what they already heard, and they wouldn't be able to do that. One of our commenters makes a really good point, saying, real quick, sorry. Christine R says, if Puffy gets out, a lot of people's lives will be in immediate danger. So sad. That's why people don't want to come forward in the first place. And a lot of this case was intimidation, threats, violence, attempted arson, allegedly blowing up a car. What do you think about that? Like, do you think the victims are safe if he gets out?
I absolutely do not. I've actually talked to people that are close to the victims, and not every victim, but some of the victims, and they are all very, very worried. You know, I always say this, from what my research has shown me about Diddy, I think this is an Al Capone factor. What did they get him on? Not paying his taxes. However, Al Capone had bodies all over the Chicago street. A lot of people feel, and I've become to believe, that it's the same thing with Diddy. Again, we saw one beating with Cassie. Allegedly, he's beaten her viciously the entirety, frequent and often. We've seen the sex trafficking. We've seen the violence. We've seen the threats. We've seen the intimidation. Again, Mark Agnifilo, by rushing the trial, short-circuited so much. So getting back to your original question about the victims, it's the victims. It's anybody that's spoken out against them. It's anybody that had the courage to come forward, either on social media, because there's a lot of people that came forward on social media that the prosecution chose not to call as witnesses. And Claudia, yourself, you have been unfairly targeted and tried to pull into that mess. And you're just sitting there minding your beautiful business, and people are making up perverted fan fiction about to rise to fame when everybody knows that the only way you rose was by using what was in between your ears, you know? So it's like, no, but it's so true. And it's like, for them to even go to your legacy that is clearly documented and try to besmirch that, you caught just a stray, and it was an undeserved stray, of what even the victims are having to do now. So when you look at that, they're saying that Diddy's not going to stop. He's going to start the smear campaigns. He's going to want to ruin their lives. He's going to want to blacklist them. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to join hands and help him make the lives of the victims as hard as possible, because maybe they're afraid. They want to make sure they're never in Diddy's case, not because of their actions, but not being held accountable. So there are a lot of people really, really worried. And let me just say this, like, I know I was even hard on one of Diddy's ex-girlfriends, Gina, always calling her dum-dum and all this other stuff. But now that I see the way things have played out and the way people, reputations have been dragged, they tried you, Claudia, and you put a stop to it, but they tried. And the way people's lives are being ripped apart unfairly, I see why a lot of victims didn't want to come forward. And I just hope to God that not only is he convicted, but these charges are heavy, because I think it's going to send a signal to the next case and the next Diddy that comes, that people don't have to be scared and they can come forward. So yeah, a lot going on.
It sounds like similar to like Trump, how Trump intimidates people to kind of get him on his side. I want to ask. I know you have something to ask, Erica. I want to ask about the. Listen, we've all made fun of those courthouse sketches, which are ridiculous. How bad does he look? Is he really gray? Does he look haggard? Does he look the same?
Okay, let me tell you something. I don't know what Diddy is talking about. The court is doing him a favor. This is the best he's looking. They are contouring him. They are giving that shape up line. Don't get me wrong. Diddy looks like, you know, he has Diddy looks like he's actually healthier than he's been in the last 3 years. You
Well,
know,
clean.
like yeah, he looked. Thank you, Erica. He looks clean. He looks like that he is on a Tucci-free diet. The court sketches are actually doing him justice, and for him to say he wants a glamour shot, he wants a JC Penney sketch. I don't know what to do. These court sketches are doing him a favor. And this is somebody that, okay, maybe not that one, but most of them, for the most part, are doing him a favor. So it's like, I don't understand, but I think he wanted to have a moment because you guys, I mean, he's been glaring at me and now he just ignores me, but he's been trying to get his people to make friendly with all the social media influencers and the press. And I feel like when he said, "Oh, you make me look like a koala," I feel like he was trying to make some olive leaf to Stephanie Sue of Rotten Mango because one of her videos will get like 2 million views. So I feel like he's still trying to turn it on and smooth and work the room. And that koala thing was for Stephanie, but as soon as he said that, she was like, "And goodbye, I'm done. Y'all not gonna get me killed." So yeah, and there's a lot going on.
Well, I mean, the hope is one that justice is served and that he's found guilty, but also just acknowledging so many. This is because the problem with this is it's a snowball effect. Yes, these are victims of Diddy, but if they aren't protected, then it prohibits other victims and survivors to come forward because it's already hard enough as a survivor to come forward. But to know that you can tell your story and not be protected after, that is going to absolutely cause, I mean, a horrific destruction to our judicial system. So I hope that everyone who has come forward and said their piece is protected, that they feel that safety and security, because this is bigger than Diddy. This is about our actual justice system.
I completely agree with you. And it's like one thing that I feel like a lot of people are looking over is the fact that not only does justice need to happen for the victims, but justice needs to happen for like the Claudias, not to use you as example. But it's like nobody talks about that until this is stopped. You either have two choices. You take the deal and get on your knees and your life's ruined, or you say, "I'm not doing that." And guess what? They take away a promotion you should have had. They don't put you on for a show. They don't give you an opportunity. People are forgetting that the people that said no had their lives ruined in different ways. So it needs to stop. The will needs to be broken, you know?
So many times in this business, I felt like, is there like an invisible force that's stopping from going to the next level? And you best believe when you tell some of these executives no, they talk to other executives, and they're all a lot of CEOs, heads of networks, heads of radio companies. A lot of them are friends. And how dare you say no to somebody? That's a great point. That's a great point. Oh, well, thank you, Tisa.
You guys, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I joined so late.
Like, I'm always like, can you come this week?
Listen, I can always come. I love seeing you ladies. Thank you so much for inviting me back. But yeah, if it's an open invitation, just let me know. I'll see you guys soon.
It is. Are you in New York? How long are you staying in New York?
Honestly, I'll text you off WhatsApp. You know, there's security issues, but I don't know. I might be here tomorrow, might be here for 3 years. I don't know. I'll text you off the thing and we can like coordinate. But yeah, definitely.
We got to hang out one of these days.
Definitely.
She's a jet setter, Erica. This girl, this is the longest she's been in the States. She's always like jet setting someplace fabulous. So
I love it. I love it. I am inspired. Thank you so much because you literally ran out of the courtroom and now you have to run back in. So thank you for giving us a little time today.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me, you guys. All right, you guys. I'll see you guys soon. And yeah, you guys, well, what can I say? You guys are owning the podcast and I love the podcast. I listen faithfully. So I am excited to be on, okay? And I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Everybody follow Tisa Tells on her YouTube channel, on her social media. Please subscribe to her channel. She breaks it all down. And not just this Diddy trial. She breaks down Real Housewives of Atlanta, the Meg Thee Stallion, Tory Lane situation, like all of them. She's really, and she does a deep dive that a lot of us are too lazy to do.
Well, it's thorough because she also goes through the actual, filings. So when people are talking about like this just landed in, court or this is public record, she will go through like page by page and make sure that you understand exactly what it is. So she's so amazing. I'm so glad that she was able to give us a little bit of time.
She's not just opinion. She brings actual facts and legal facts. I love that. Just want to show her some love. Let's see. E.N. Priest says, I follow her. She's amazing. Mary Bird said, love you all. Ladies, keep shining. Tisa, Miss G Dove says Tisa is on all the YouTube channels and TV. Go Tisa. She's been on Nancy Grace and a lot of all the shows in New York. They're all using her and putting her on. So yeah, a lot of them are showing love.
Put it on, girl. Let me see it. Put it on, girl. Let me see it.